Yes, I can definitely smell
Hey guys, it's Fire Nick Dragon here. And I need to let you guys know that Dragonslayer and Dragon Bro are still stuck in the psych ward after reviewing too many Mandalorian episodes, so I was called in to take over for this review. Now, by the holy substance that is my Hellfire Moonshine, when I tell you this movie is bad, I mean daggone it, not even 200 Ford F-150 trucks can pull this movie out of the quagmire it walked itself into, because this is a film that Disney had no clue what kind of tone they wanted to set for the story, and I'll tell you all about it. But before we get into that, please make sure to watch the rest of the video all the way to the end, preferably, so you can get the full context as to why the movie has been so poorly received by so many people, including shill review websites, surprisingly. But other than that, let's analyze this roadkill of a movie.
You gotta be kidding me.
So the movie begins very similar to the animation, where Wendy's brothers are fighting each other with wooden swords while pretending to be Captain Hook and Peter Pan, and Wendy is then asked by her mother to call them down to go to bed, but what we get instead is Wendy joining in on the fun, which leads to one of the wooden swords flying straight into the mirror and breaking it, which tells me right off the bat that this child deserves an ass whooping.
Boy, you just earned this ass whooping!
She then has a discussion with her mother that boils down to, "You gotta grow up, sweetie." "No, I don't want to grow up to be like you old people from the past. I'm a strong, independent young woman and I'm afraid of change, so because of that, I don't want to grow up." "Well, sweetie, I'm sorry to hear that, but you'll have to grow up someday and adapt to change, or the hungry sharks of this world will eat you right up."
Damn straight.
After that, she sings her lullaby, and then sometime afterwards, Hood Tinkerbell pops in with the call center guy's kid, who calls himself Peter Pan for some reason, to kidnap these kids to Neverland by levitating them there with her golden crack pixie dust. But the whole plan falls apart once one of Wendy's brothers snatches Hood Tinkerbell, which stops the whole process and calls her a bug while in his hands to, according to Disney, show off his white power privilege.
I'm just messing with you.
A few seconds later, Peter Pan shows up and starts ransacking their room because he's looking for a shadow who keeps running away from him constantly, and after finding it, he's able to convince Wendy and the kids to run away with him to Neverland, but tells them that in order to fly, they need to think happy thoughts after being sprayed with Hood Tinkerbell's suspiciously good crack pixie dust, and just like that, they're all flying like a bunch of locomotively challenged eagles for some reason. Oh yeah, he has some words with Wendy about what a kiss is about, but that doesn't matter to the overall story, cause they're now flying to Neverland by accessing an interdimensional portal that's located where the Big Ben clock tower is at, and seconds later they're in Neverland enjoying their terrible CGI flight effects sequence until they get abruptly interrupted by Captain Hook's men, who decide to shoot a cannonball in their direction to kill Peter Pan, which almost kills Wendy instead. Yeah, look, in this movie, the pirates are even bigger idiots than in the animation, and this has been done deliberately by Disney because when the producers looked at the terrible flat CGI sequences that were created by their $10,000 budget, they decided to cut that shit out immediately before anyone else watching the movie noticed it, but I'm sorry to say that their plan didn't work out so well.
No
After getting bombarded by the pirates for a while, Peter tries to come up with an attack plan against the pirates, but he can never enact this plan because Captain Hook separates this group with his long Tom cannon blast, and hey, Disney, come on, man, I'm trying to do a movie here, not expose your secret childish jokes.
Where is this going?
Anyway, the group gets separated and Wendy ends up getting stranded on the beach, where she climbs up the hill and starts to cry in despair about her brothers until she gets interrupted by this Cree Indian girl who apparently is the leader of the diverse Lost Boys, who threaten to harm her because they think she's done something to Peter Pan.
Wait, what?
Being very confused, Wendy says that she's done nothing to Peter, and then the Cree girl asks her if she's the Wendy Peter has been talking about, which leads to her saying yes, because if she said something else, well...
Because if you don't know stories, then you're an imposter. And you know what we do with imposters.
She'll be dead for it.
After that matter is cleared up, Wendy finds out they're the Lost Boys, and she asks why not all their members are boys, and well, we get Disney's childish answer through one of the black kids in the group who says, well, why not, you racist? And then Wendy's like, oh well, I guess it doesn't really matter then, which then leads to one of the kids telling Wendy that she could see her brothers on Captain Hook's ship after she gave him a description of her brothers, but when she's not able to see them through Tree Bar Spyglass, one of the kids gives her some advice.
Just looking the wrong way. Oh, I see it. There's...
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know how she was able to make the correlation of her words with imagination, but whatever, let's move on. So Wendy's brothers are brought into Captain Hook's ship, where I will tell you right now, Jude Law's acting is the best part of this movie, and you can tell he was having a time of his life with his character.
No clocks.
But
nothing.
Moving on, Hook asked them how they came to Neverland, and the older brother breaks one of Hook's rules by mentioning Peter Pan's name, which means that they're now gonna get executed in Skull Island. Now, as the pirates are on their way there, Wendy asks the Lost Boys what going to Skull Island means, and that's when they tell her that the pirates are most likely going to execute her brothers, which causes her to ask the group's help in rescuing them. And as her brothers are about to get executed, we get a discount Rings of Power rip-off fight scene where Peter Jackpan Sparrow thwarts the pirates' attacks in the most lazy-ass way possible. Now, I'm sure some of you will doubt what I'm saying about Disney hiring the same stunt coordinator from Rings of Power, but let me show you my conclusive proof exhibit.
My fault!
Sneaky frats.
Regardless, Wendy's brothers get saved by Hood Tinkerbell's suspiciously expert magical lockpicking skills, and Peter almost gets killed by Captain Hook until he gets saved by Wendy's Negan, which somehow buys enough time for the plot to kick in so the cousin of the giant crocodile monster from the Mandalorian TV show can start chomping on pirates, which causes everyone to run away as a result. But for some reason, the crocodile won't eat and expose Captain Hook while he's in the water because apparently it hates seawater, which makes absolutely no sense because these fucking buffoons of Disney can't remember that in the animation he gets eaten by the crocodile who's obviously in the sea.
I think I made my point.
After the kids survive that ordeal, thankless Wendy starts to nag at Peter for being an irresponsible person by stating the fact that he has underlings that will do anything for him, and a woman who cleans up after his messes who maintains the same goddamn smile no matter what people say about her. But then Peter gets back at her by saying that this is how things have always been and that he will never change no matter what, while some creepy dark music is playing in the background, which leads me to believe Peter is a psychotic controlling person who will grievously punish anyone who doesn't follow his rules, tries to promote change of any kind, or even dares to grow up. However, don't worry about it because the happy music kicks in to let us know that we're in the HQ of the Lost Boys, but Wendy asks the Cree girl why she's not going inside, and she tells her that it's because this place is not her home any longer, and tells her story of her grandma advising her to be strong when she goes out into the world one step at a time, which I know already sounds very confusing to you because Neverland was portrayed to be a magical place in the animation, but I will answer this burning question very soon, so stick with me for now because we're already at the halfway point of this movie, so make sure to hit the whole like, share, subscribe, and all notifications bell button while you're at it, alright?
You can do it!
Moving on, the kids ask Wendy to give them a bedtime story because Peter says she's great at doing that, but she then asks Peter to give him one first about why he has such beef with Captain Hook before she does hers, and Peter just blows off her question by giving the long answer of,
"None of your damn business."
Meanwhile, she sings her mum's lullaby instead to put everyone asleep, and she goes up to talk to Peter about Hook, which basically boils down to them having a disagreement about change after Hook left him and came back all evil, yet Wendy says that maybe he considers him evil because he had to grow up, and Peter says what's the difference between those two things since Hook went against his psychotic rules. However, this whole conversation ends with Peter refusing to talk with her any further, but then a few seconds later, she and the kids end up getting caught by Captain Hook, who was able to find where their hideout is due to Wendy's supersonic singing of that lullaby from a couple of minutes earlier.
Excuse me, what?
Once Captain Hook goes inside his old room, Peter tries to sneak attack him, but let's just say it doesn't end well.
I'm finding you.
I don't think I like this adventure.
God damn.
The kids are then taken away by Captain Hook, and for some reason Peter's shadow runs all the way to the Cree girl's village to let her know that Peter is somehow still alive after falling flat on his back on solid ground from at least 40 feet in the air. But aside from that insane fact, do you guys remember how I said I was going to answer your question regarding Neverland being magical? Well, the answer for that is a resounding no, because by showing the scene of the Cree girl in her village, I can already tell you through some very easy research that Neverland, according to Disney, is located somewhere in Canada, which means that every kid who watched the animation and believed this place was magical was believing a big lie. Back in the pirate ship, Hook tells Wendy that the real reason he and Peter had so much beef with each other was because in the past he was still a child. He wanted to return to his mother, and Overlord Peter became so overcome with anger that he vanished him from the hideout. But after he left, the pirates saved him from drowning at sea, which caused him over the years to repay their kindness by becoming the captain of the ship eventually, and making them go to Neverland to try to convince his old friend to let go of his old ways. Yet it didn't work out because he lost his hand to him in a fight, and it ended up turning him into the old bitter evil man we now see in this movie.
Oh, that poor bastard.
After that surprisingly sympathetic revelation, the captain tells the crew to execute all the children, and when Wendy tries to convince him to just execute her, he just tells her that her courage is admirable, but that it doesn't matter to him because he's gonna kill them all anyway. Also, Peter wakes up to find out he has no flying powers anymore, since it seems Hood Tinkerbell's pixie crack dust is what saved his life from that fall after all, and no, neither Peter nor the audience will ever get an answer as to how that's even possible, so instead he accepts the Cree girl's help to take him to the pirates with her horse.
It's not flying anymore.
Meanwhile, we get a long scene of Wendy being forced to walk the plank, and afterwards Hook and the pirates wondered why there was no big splash, but that question is immediately answered when we get a scene of Hood Tinkerbell's crack dust lifting up the entire ship, where Wendy shows up right afterwards to let us know the most important message Disney wants people to get out of this film.
You have the boy's magic.
No, this magic belongs to no boy.
Shut when you think about
A fight then ensues between Peter and Hook's followers while they're dueling, and look, the only child I will ever believe can take on a grown-ass man and win is Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, okay? But besides that, we get a surprise second conclusive exhibit that this movie hired the stunt coordinator, or at least one of the stunt coordinators of Rings of Power.
That's terrible.
After many long minutes of fighting, Peter Pan and Captain Hook's epic duel culminates in a similar way like in the animation, with the one exception that Captain Hook doesn't get eaten by the crocodile, but instead falls on his back straight into Davy Jones' locker after telling Peter he can't think happy thoughts, because I guess Disney believed it would be too goofy for a series live-action adaptation to see a giant crocodile eat a pirate with a hook for a hand.
Disappointed!
After that exciting conclusion to the fighting, Peter returns Wendy and all the kids to her house in London, and we find out that Peter only kidnaps children who live in his old house. Wendy tries to convince Peter to stay instead of leaving so he can start growing up, but like the psychotic child kidnapper that he is, Peter answers her with the typical, "Oh, screw it all that stupid shit, love, I'm nothing without me child slaves boasting my tyrannical ego," and proceeds to leave everyone on Captain Hook shit.
Arrest him! Arrest him!
Other than that, the movie ends with Hood Tinkerbell thanking Wendy for believing in the power of her cracked pixie dust while being able to hear her. Well, okay, I'm kind of playing there. She actually just tells her thank you for hearing me. And we find out later that Captain Hook is actually alive, since I guess the producers realized they were making a children's movie and not a serious adult film, so of course they had to bring him back so that this movie's rating doesn't fall to Velma levels of notoriety.
That's cold, sir.
Alright guys, I'm back from my therapy session, so let's get... Oh, we're already done? Ah, hell, I blacked out again, didn't I? Damn it. Well, in that case, my rating for this movie is a 3.5 out of 10, and the reason for it is quite simple. The only thing about this movie is Jude Law's energetic acting as Captain Hook, because every time he was on screen, he kept reminding me of the Captain Hook I grew up to love when I was a kid, and you could tell he was having the time of his life. But unfortunately, I feel like not even his highly energetic acting can save this film from acquiring the live-action remake infamy that most of these Disney films get these days.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
You see, the reason for it is quite simple. The Disney of today is not the same Disney who made that wonderful animation we all remember so fondly, because the company thinks that their huge legacy following will eat up anything that comes out of their studios and make money out of it regardless, which ends up creating a soulless, low-effort mentality that causes many of the people in these studios to not even try to be creative at all, but instead pander to groups and ideologies that should have no place in the company because they believe it'll bring more attention to their brand and make them look good in the eyes of the activists who constantly threaten to boycott their products at the slightest misstep.
Not a great plan.
If you don't believe what I'm saying, then why is it that Studio XX from any studio owned by Disney immediately tell all of their non-white actors involved in a controversial movie or TV show that all the fans that come after the show with legit critical concerns are automatically racist, bigots, or misogynists? Why is it that in every interview panel you see these days, the actors and producers of these shows and movies always spam out the same goddamn words of diversity, equity, and inclusion? Well, the answer is quite simple, because it not only gives these people a really easy, legit excuse for their incompetence at their job, but it also allows them to point the finger at someone else so that their failures are never exposed, and it also gives them brownie points with a higher XX who will give them more jobs that they're not qualified for because they simply said the magic words they wanted to hear.
This is absolutely correct!
Anyways guys, that's my take on this disappointing trash heap, and please let me know in the comments what you thought about the movie, because unlike Disney, I actually am willing to listen to opinions that aren't mine as well. But other than that, I wish y'all a wonderful day and namadia.